Does it hurt when you do that? Does it hurt when you do that? Does it hurt when you do that? Don't do that.
Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 2 of Does It Hurt When You Do That? Don't Do That. Thank you so much for joining me again, and thank you to everyone who listened to the first episode. It's been fantastic to receive your well wishes, and it's really kept me going because, as I say in that episode, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway because, well, life is for living. Because here I am talking from my isolation inspiration station on Wurundjeri country in Naarm, Melbourne, Australia, in lockdown number 6. That is where I am in time and space. And I'm not really going to talk too much about this lockdown because, well, I was really angry about it initially. I felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. But also, I'm not going to talk about it because we've got some amazing other things to chat about. And I guess we're kind of over the lockdown. I'm quite grateful and fortunate that I can actually leave the house to go to work. And I have a really lovely home. And, well, if you are here and didn't think that you were going to get any of this kind of lockdown chat, feeling a bit uncomfortable, well, that's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. What else is uncomfortable is life, my friends, and that's why we're here to talk about it with the guests. Let's just take a deep breath, and also I can work on this fantastic wee app that we've got going. Today I'm very excited to introduce you to our guest, Zoee Marsh. I met Zoee in 2010. We did dance and performing arts school together, and she calls me Jan because that's what I got called back then. And Zoee is an Australian-born creative, choreographer, director and movement coach who has an extensive CV across the music, film, theatre, TV, fashion, advertising and community industries. This has led her to work with some pretty cool cats such as Vera Blue, George Ellis, Greta Ray, Kite String. She's done stuff for ABC Kids, Platypus Shoes, Junior Eurovision Song Contest, Edinburgh Fringe Festival and the Australian Open. But what she's done in this way is not so much at the forefront of the conversation. The conversation more goes to her insights of meeting herself versus meeting her career, her perspective of time, of what it is to say no, about boundaries. She goes into beautiful depth about the conversations that she has with her creativity. We talk about what distraction tells us, about habit formation, what it's like to be kind to oneself and be real to oneself, what it means to be a teacher or a leader, and what it means just to be. There's pauses in this chat where we take time to let things marinate. And I was going to edit some of these and kind of speed things up, but these are the sorts of conversations that I'm wanting to promote, that there's not this need for a real immediacy of I go, you go, have to respond right away, but rather just allow for the space and let each idea land and intentionally come with a response. The space it almost feels like a bit of a meditation. I really like it because I'm someone who often has a lot of things on the go. So anytime there's a little opportunity to wait, I see it like a little treat. So this interview we recorded back in February, and I was in Whangaroa, Raglan, New Zealand, and the only place where I could get good Wi-Fi was out the back of the community centre, which is overlooking the Foursquare, which is like New Zealand's 7-Eleven. So you're going to hear some ambient noise with birds and planes and stuff in the distance, and I feel like, well, coming from the context that I am now, it's a real treat hearing those sounds of Kiwi summer. So I hope that you enjoy this chat that I had with Zoee Marsh as much as I did out the back of the Foursquare.
Book it in, like, no questions asked. It's like,
I'm so
done. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you see it like that and you recognize it like that, because I think as artists that's how it is, and I think that we don't give ourselves permission to grow as a self because it's like not seen as valid, but it's like that's the only way you're going to be better.
This is, and people often ask like, oh, how do you sustain your job, your creativity? And I'm like, it's about how I sustain my physical self. If I keep the physical and mental self in a top-notch spot, the ideas can land, they can come in. But if I'm a mess, nothing's going to happen. Like, it's actually more about what I do. The same ideas are going to come, but I'm just going to get better at executing them because I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, the person executing them is like in tip-top shape, like physically and mentally. That's the easy part now. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, let's do that. That's sick. Let's do that. But like, go to yoga and like grow and read and like go and
keep the house tidy.
Keep the house, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, my upstairs is clean. Like,
nice. Your mind palace is like tidy and groomed.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's like, and I'm so in tune with it. And I'm just like, yeah, like, just even with time, like when the minute I clock off from work, I don't check the time. I eat when I'm hungry. If I'm at my mate's house down the road, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go home when the clouds go, like when the moon comes out of the clouds, like that's my time to go. Like, I'm just like, I don't have to be on time when I'm not scheduled. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to look at the time. It's irrelevant. And I feel my rest is so much better. Like last night I stargazed for 3 hours on my friend's farm next to a bonfire.
Wow.
On a Monday night. It's like, yeah, I could have watched movies at home. But I also could just lay outside and then be here on time to clock on. I'm like, cool, got this, got a meeting, and then that time will end, and then I'll go to being back timeless. Like,
I really like that.
It's
my New Year's resolution for 2019 was to see more sunsets.
Yeah, nice.
And that was really good because it meant that every day I stopped. Yeah, I stopped and I was like, oh, and I was like, it happens every day.
And and with like it's like your most reliable friend. It's like when I go to the beach every day, I'm like, you're not going anywhere. Like, you're showing me exactly how you are every day. There's no hidden, there's no upfront. You're just like, this is me today. And I'm like, there. Mad, thanks. You know, sunrise, sunset, swells, tides, they rock up every day. And it's just like, it teaches me to keep rocking up, you know, for myself.
Nice.
It's such a big teacher. Like, just nature and the sun. I'm like, fuck, the sun had it. Like, if it's rainy or something and it's like a bit of a shit day, I'm like, it's still going to rise tomorrow. It's not going to go, I need a day off. It's still going to get up and do what it's designed to do. And then go to, and then chill out, you know. We lose it. Yeah. It's so nice. Isn't perspective just so healthy?
Absolutely.
It's like
absolutely.
It's medicine.
Yeah.
Like, it's medicine. Like, it's medicine. I'm always just like, zoom out, look at it. There's nothing wrong. Like,
yeah.
It's wild. Dude, John, look at you. I'm just like, want to hug you. I want to be like,
I know, me too. I want to hug you as well. Like, seriously, like, I feel like it's been since probably about 5 years. Maybe we like did a summer school, I remember, or there was like one thing and you were just like, I did this. And I was like, we have to hang out.
Yeah, I remember I think I saw you at Spring Awakening.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. Or it was like, and I was just like, we have to hang out. I was like, I'll come and see you. But then I know that you've also been like,
laying low and doing your thing as well. And it's also just so nice to like know that like you're just doing your thing, you're a bloody diamond in the rough, and then I'm here, and then we can see each other, and then it's just like it's like
the best people in my life are ones that I don't speak to. Like, do you know what I mean? That I
Yeah,
can
true.
we can just jump back on the phone after however many years and be like, sup, yo, like, love what you're doing, love what you're doing. It's like,
yeah,
and it's no, like, it's just so easy, like, I definitely, like, I don't know about you, but like, I love how easy friendships are. When I was younger, or even in Melbourne, like, when we're at full time, it was very much like, oh, yep, make that effort with this person. And like, we've got to go to that event and this. And now I'm just like, people are like, what do you do on the weekend? I'm like, I can't tell you today. It's fucking Tuesday. Ask me on Saturday. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah.
I can't make plans. I just have to flow. I plan my work.
I learned that the hard way though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way of making plans, because I just put too many in.
Yeah, same. You wear yourself out. You're like, fuck, I'm cooked. Like,
I haven't heard someone say that for a little while, except for me.
You do. You're sitting there and I'm like, this is self-infliction. I cooked myself.
Yeah.
There's no one else. And it's like, oh, so you work so hard. I'm like, nah, overcommit. It's my fault. I say yes. I'll make it work. Is the most dangerous words I can ever say. I'm saying no, but I'll make it work. Like, I'm literally going against what I'm meant to be doing.
Okay, then we're going to get straight into that. So I've recorded a little while ago, by the way. My guest is here. We'll just start it whenever, Welcome, everyone. There's probably been some kind of a preamble. I'm recording from out the back of the Raglan Community Centre and the Raglan Foursquare. So if you hear some ambient summer Aotearoa sounds, that's what you're hearing. And I'm here with my guest. Who are you?
I am a human being labelled as Australian, living in Torquay, Victoria, and I go by the name of Zoe with 2 E's.
Thank you. And you were telling me about something that you said that hurts you. So does it hurt when you do that? Don't do that. Saying I make it work.
Yeah, I make it work. And the most dangerous words, in my time, that I think that it's the thing that I was saying and it was causing me the most pain. Like, even though I love what I do and I love everyone in my life and my job, by me saying I'll make it work is me showing up for everyone else instead of myself. So now I'm like, I'm so sorry I can't. They're like, oh, really? You're the yes girl. I was like, yeah, well, I was. Now I can't. Or next week or in March,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to call myself out on it.
So like that fear that I've experienced, where you're like, I'm not going to say no, I'm going to make it work. Have you found, like, now going, I can't, has that fear actually come true in terms of, does that make sense? I don't know if I phrased that question very well.
Yeah. Like, what I was scared of, like, are you saying, so like by saying I was scared of something by saying no. Yeah. And now on the other side of the coin, I've said no. And it's the opposite. I'm just like, it's very empowering. And I'm also just like, I'm meeting myself. I used to just spend all my time meeting my career. And that's where that fear of saying no came from. Got to hustle. And I'm like, you should hear me. Like, I used to work 7 days a week. And now someone's like, oh, are you free on Saturday? I'm like, nah. They're like, what about Sunday? I'm like, nah. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, I'm free Monday to Friday, but I need those 2 days now. It's kind of a bare minimum, I know I used to say yes. And it's also having to, the hardest part is educating the people that I'm unlearning the habit that they know me by. Because they're all like, oh, you're saying no. And I'm like, I know. I don't say that word very often. Now I'm like, with love, no.
Rewriting the scripts.
For real. And just like organically, just like in the moment being like, no, I didn't like that. And everyone's like, what? I'm like, I also don't like meat. Does that mean it's bad? Like, you asked me for my actual opinion. So here it is, with love, from love, but it's cool. Yeah. But I'll make it work. Dangerous. For me personally.
Mm. Mm. Do you think that the career hustle of 7 days a week thing, like, where do you think it came from for you, that need?
Oh, it was definitely like there's a big combination in that soup. There's from like just the way that we're conditioned through training, through you're only as good as your last job. If you're not at the front of your game, you'll be blacklisted and forgotten. Like there's so much fear that is actually like you're in a ballet bar, but you're not learning ballet, you're learning fear. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, but then this like passion inside me is like, let's do it. I love creating. And I'm like, yeah, but like, it's taken me a long time. I don't know if this answers it properly, but it's taken me a long time to actually identify my organic reality of my job, my hustle, my art, because for so long I've been unlearning the reality that was scripted to me to, I think, in fact, feed their system. Like don't leave too far from the den, come back, this is your home, like we'll take care of you, you're only as good as your last job, we'll keep you on a leash. And it's like, hold up, like this is serving you, like this is not serving me, like, and this is your fear that you're passing on to me, and I'm open, I'm listening to you, like, yeah, Britt, I'll do that. And now it's just like unlearning that and being like, no. Namaste away.
Namaste away.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
You can take your terrifying tondus elsewhere.
yeah. And I think it's also, I was actually thinking about this the other day and had a brief conversation about it, is I've taken the word freelance out of my answer. When people say, what's your role? I just go, I'm a creative. For so long, I was like, oh, I'm freelance creative. And I'm telling myself subconsciously that my job is not secure. So I'm subconsciously telling myself, you've got to hustle because you're freelance. You don't know when your next one is. And I'm like, technically on paper, do I have a job in June? No. Do I have a job in May? No. I'm probably booked until I've got some stuff in April. It's Feb now, but doesn't mean I'm like, no, I'm a creative. I do it every day. So I'm a full-time creative instead of like I'm a freelance creative. So changing that kind of dialogue as well has been helpful. But yeah, so much inherited fear.
Yeah, it's thank you so much for that. I resonate with so much of it. Is the permission and the language and the words that we give ourselves. We believe the stories that we tell ourselves and that we tell other people. And yeah, I was hanging out with these Americans, and they were people, when you're traveling, like, what do you do? And I was like, oh yeah, I make shows and and then the Americans like, man, me and these guys, we're changing the world. And like I was like, whoa, okay, I'm gonna be more like an American when I talk about what I do. And then I made a decision to not be self-deprecating, and it's cool, it's exciting, so I'm gonna be cool and excited about it. And then it's only brought me good things, and it's made me have to live up to that.
Yeah. It's so healthy. I moving away from the city after being in cities for like 10 years. And I was born and raised down in the country and the coast. So coming back there and just meeting this new community of people that they've really taught me to actually like really back what I do, because when they're asking me, what are you working on right now? It's real, where I find there's a lot of conversation in the industry, and I say this is love, and maybe I'm saying something people don't want to hear, but people like, oh, what are you up to? Not out of interest, out of like, what work's going around. It's not authentic. So you start to like, I don't tell anyone what I'm doing because I'm really scared of the reaction, and I don't want to offend anyone. And then I have to clock myself. I'm like, but you're working really hard. Don't be ashamed for working. But just because someone else isn't doesn't mean you shouldn't, be allowed to speak about it or be proud of it. But yeah, meeting these like bunch of people that aren't from that industry has taught me to be like, yeah, I'm fucking working on this. This is dope. Like, this is how I'm spending my time. I'm so proud of myself. Like, and it's just, it changes it. It just keeps bringing good things in, and better conversations and a better relationship with where like my goals. I'm not as hard on myself anymore. I'm still pretty tough on myself. That's just my nature, but I'm not mean to myself anymore.
There's something that hurt that you're not doing anymore.
Yeah, I'm not mean anymore. I'm like, come on, Zoe, we got this. Like, I back myself more. If I'm lazy, if I'm tired, I'll call myself out. I'm like, that's your own fault. So, like, because there's sometimes I'm like, I'm human, but I'm not mean to myself anymore. But I think it's just having that positive conversation. Yeah, like you said, like the Americans, like, back in yourself. Like, you're like, I'm gonna toot my horn. Doesn't mean it has to be ego driven. I'm just like, I'm doing this right here, right now with my time.
Do you think that there's any like little actual practical things or ways in which you learnt to be kinder to yourself, and then also how to toot your horn in a way that's not ego driven, like where you see that difference lies?
Yeah, I would have to say, like, in terms of like practices, so like I've really been trying to, and I think it's something I'll forever be unfolding and forever being like looking at, is how can I sustain my hobby? Because my hobby turned into my paycheck, and then I make sure I haven't lost the hobby factor, right? So like that's and that's like having conversations, my creativity, being in like being connected to it, asking it what it needs as well. Like, instead of me just expecting to rock up to work every day unfed, unappreciated, unloved, you know? So like that's really helped me. And then to see my creativity as something that's I collaborate with rather than am, it actually helps me look at the work and be like, that was pretty cool, though. You know what I mean? Like, because in my head, I'm like, I'm the receptionist to my creativity. I just like the shiny girl at the front and be like, hey, welcome to Zoe's Creativity. How can I help you today? Yep, I'll send you to the boardroom. And then everyone's like, well done. I'm like, I didn't, like, it wasn't me. It just dropped in. I did it. As long as I keep, like we were saying at the start of the call, the physical body and the mental body in like clean top shape, like I'm a sick factory. Like anything can be made if it come at me. But separating myself, like Zoe the human, from the work that I work on is the biggest, it was the greatest thing that I could do, to actually watch back things. Or and it's not my ego saying it, because I'm appreciating the work. I'm not going, I did this and I'm a blah blah blah, me. I'm like, how cool is that work? And what would we work more on, or what could I change differently if I was to do it again? So having that space I feel like I'm appreciating creation instead of like tapping into, like letting my ego come up and be like, oh, I did that. me. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
And just looking at it from a different angle. Just.
That's wonderful. It's so, yeah, because also it's a gift, right? And one thing about our gifts is if we don't share them, it's a disservice to the world and to ourselves.
Yeah.
So are there times when you look at what's coming up for you work wise, or if you're like in the middle of a job and you're like, holy smokes, the hobby's lost, what do you do to get it back again?
Oh yeah, I've been in that situation many times, and I don't have like a strict schedule in terms of how I go about this, but I'm really keep myself accountable on a daily basis. Like if I don't express for myself, not my work, like once a day, whether that's going for a walk, I'm learning to surf again. So like, I'm not very good, but I'll go surfing for 3 hours, because the hobby is not dance. The hobby isn't even art. The hobby is the body. That's my hobby. Like redefining and there's some different elements of my hobby. Like I go to yoga every day because I like moving my body, or testing my body surfing. I tried skateboarding. Like, so if I'm not letting my hobby, my body, do something on the daily basis, like I see how it affects my work. So like, it's not even a dance class every day. Like, yeah, I still, put my headphones on and jam like every day. That's just like it's like brushing my teeth. But I really make sure I'm listening to my body when it's like, I'm feeling cold for a swim. I'm like, let's go swim, because it's the toolkit. It's like for me to work, I use my physical body. So, and for me to keep that intact, I have to feed it. And it's just like, I don't want to just feed it just dance. It's like eating only one meal forever. It's like, I did do that for a while. I only thought the outlet had to be dancing. And I was just like, I actually was like kind of resenting classes. I was like, oh, I don't really want to like do a chasse pied, like, I don't really want to do like a pas de bourrée or like a pirouette right now. I want to like run amok. Or, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's like going to find the seed of what your hobby actually is, like taking the identity of the label away. Like it's not dance class or acting or theater. It's my tool of expression is the body. People express themselves skydiving. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty on my shit with that.
Yeah,
it's taken a long time. It's like practicing to meditate every day. Like it takes a long time to actually sit every day. And I sit most days, but not every day, But I feel it. If I haven't fed myself, my creative self in a few days, my body's like, all right, I need more than a yoga class. I'm like, okay. Do you want a sunset? Like, do you want to lay in stargaze? Do you need a bonfire? Like, tell me what you need.
And that is now like looking at, I guess, your reading from your bio, your aspiration with your work about how we use movement to make an impact, a physical, mental, emotional, and social impact.
Yeah.
It's like once we know that seed and can understand it, then that's where that can channel. I think, I think it's, for me, like I guess, I'll share my experiences. Like people like, what do you do? You're studying psychology and philosophy and yoga and performing. What do you do? And I just say, like, I want to spread joy and I want to incite things in people.
Yes.
And so how I do that is like, nah, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. We need definition to understand things and to sell things and to buy things, I guess, like someone, but then again, people buy Tupperware containers and use them for everything.
Yeah. It's I always think about, like, if you think about money and buying, like you're buying an idea, you're buying a campaign, you're buying a product, you're buying a story, you're buying the habit to then need more. You know what I mean? So like, just like anything you spend your time, your physical time or your money on, or your energy, like make it versatile. Like for anyone, I don't want to say dancers or actors or singers, like don't just go, that's my only car. Like have heaps, because that's the way you can, I don't know, you can connect to more people. This dance is only a very small part of the world. Like trained dancing, like there's way more people that social dance than trained dance. And I don't even mean like in like, the like underground communities of like crews and battles. I'm talking like people that just go to a festival to dance, like the general person dancing for 6 hours at a festival. Why are they doing that? Because they want to move their body. They want to actually, like, they want to release, they want to get in. They're like, let's vibe this, like it's a community, it's a social thing.
Do you find that because you grew up with fear at the bar, that doing the social thing, dancing, have you found times when you're like, I can't do it like you can, I know too many rules?
I think I'm really thankful that I started dancing late. So I had a fear of the bar in the ballet room, like in the studio. Like the fear of the bar was like the place that, like, you touched it and I was like, that was my grip to the fear, literally, right? But I would take myself out by myself just to dance. Stone cold sober. I'd be like, just listen to like a DJ or a good set, just because I'm like, I just want to move. I don't want to be paid to move right now or to make something. I'm like, I just want to go like flex some steps and see what happens. Like, so I've never had a fear of it because I started late. For me, I was already socially dancing before I was trained dancing. So yeah, you know, you put music on and I could never stand still, whether it was on the trampoline, the swings, or I was jumping around. So but yeah, I haven't lost that, but I do find it really strange when dancers, I hate keep saying dancers, but dancers go out and they don't dance. And I'm like, this is your expression. There's a whole floor and live music with an amazing sound system for hours and hours and hours. And no one's going to tell you you're wrong or to pull up or to jump higher. You can just dance for time, for so long. But yeah, people are scared. Like some people, they only exist in the rules.
Mm.
And that's like, not saying that's right or wrong. For me, I'm just like, dance is not about, there's dance doesn't have a rule kit. You know, ballet does, but dance doesn't.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I've always kept that social. I'm feel really lucky. I haven't had that fear creep in. I mean, obviously there is a bit of fear there because a goal of mine is to train in, become a B girl and actually compete.
Oh, true.
Yeah. And it's
How's
something
that going?
well, it's slow and it's something that I am in no rush to do.
A B girl is like a girl who break dances, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can really see myself. I'm working on my strength a lot. I know some basics. I'm always practicing them and I try to incorporate it when I'm just jamming. But I can really see like future me just rocking up to a battle. Like not even there to win, just to exercise that side of me. But it's something I don't want to rush. And I'm just that's when I have to be realistic. I'm like, how much time do I actually have to, you know, still work and create and be in the system of like paying the jobs and the money and the tax and, you know, and then but it's fun because it's like when something's a hobby, you're in no rush, I think. Like I'm in no rush to become some shredder on a wave. Like I'm just like stoked that I can steer my board. Yeah.
A shredder B girl on a wave
Imagine
steering her
me
board.
head spinning on a board.
Head spinning on a board. That's what we need. That's what's going to happen. Sick.
Hey, imagine that.
Yeah.
Pretty fresh.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I did Spiritual Banana, my show, and here in Raglan, I did 2 shows on the weekend, straight back to back. The first time ever, I longboarded down to the harbour and swam naked under the stars after my show, and I was like,
dude,
this is a good way to finish work.
Oh yeah, we shot a music video on a beach down the coast recently with like a bunch of like some of just the most beautiful people that I've met through like kind of like music video film scene, right? And we've all worked together heaps, and we shot on film, and we only had to do 3 takes because it was on film and it was on sunset. And then when it was wrapped, we all just went swimming. And we were like, imagine if every shoot wrapped like this. Like literally we're all just swimming around like children, like, and the beach was empty. And I was just like, this is how you should knock off.
Yeah, like the UN, after they finish their thing, they should just go down to some of those Swiss mountains. Oh no, shoot, the UN's not in Switzerland. Go down to a canal, take a train to Amsterdam, go for a swim.
Yeah. It's so natural, literally. Oh, I love that you did that. I'm gonna go for a night swim, I reckon, maybe tonight. You've inspired me.
So yes, does it hurt when you do that? What is like a thing if you were like, do this, it hurts but it's good, if you were, that's something that you have in your life? So for some people, for me, it's like whenever I'm by water, I will go for a swim. Like if I can swim in it, I'm gonna go. Oh, it's cold, go, do it.
Yeah. Oh, like
there might be a few things, you can choose any.
I actually I struggle to answer it because I've just ironed it out. I'm just in this space right now where I'm like, whatever I'm called to do, I'm going to do. Like if it's freezing cold water or if it's like breaking my sleep to, I don't know, like if it feels right, I'll do it. And that sounds so like, I can't even think of an example because I've been leaning into it so much that I feel like I'm recreating the habit. of just like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, like I'm not going, this is good for me, so do it. I'm just like, this is medicine, let's go. Like, but there was probably a time where I was like, not as that I would have say like, go to yoga at 6:30 in the morning because it's good for you. But now I'm like, I'm not my thinking brain isn't saying going to yoga. My body's just taking me to yoga. You know what I mean? I'm just the passenger. I'm like, yeah, body, good call. Let's go to yoga. You know, it's good for me. So I've taken that like hurt. It's just like, I know what you mean, but I've just, I reckon I've like been ironing it out.
Is it almost like that the leaning in might be the thing that you're like, I'm used to that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I get in that.
Oh,
yeah.
And even like, one thing that I know is good for me that I'm working on. This is really random, but this is probably the one thing it's not discomfort, but there is a little bit of discomfort. Is when I go to the beach, I try to walk 100 steps with my eyes shut.
Oh,
yeah, and just close my eyes and just walk along the beach. I got to 60 the other day, and I peaked. And I'm in no rush to get to 100. I'm just trying to exercise that I don't need my eyes. And it's so, in terms of my senses, it's so good for me. I've no, and I can feel if and I look back at my footprints to see if I went in a straight line, or what my perception of a straight line with my eyes shut is compared to what it actually physically is if someone was watching with their eyes open. So like, I feel like that's good for me, and I'm trying to do it more.
Do you walk fast or slow?
Just regular pace. I try to keep
regular pace.
Yeah, I'm not in a rush. I'm just trying to maintain breathing and the same pace the whole time, and just tuning into the texture of the sand. Like, that's how I know if I'm going up or down. Like, because if I'm going further away from the water, the sand will change, the temperature, the like actual like softness or toughness, you know, like, and the noise as well. Like, yeah, it's cool. I recommend trying it.
Yeah, I really like the sound of that. We are so equipped in so many other ways with our senses.
Yes.
Like, I've actually wanted to get my sense of smell and taste sharper.
Yeah, nice.
So I've just started like sniffing things, you know.
Yeah.
I've got a friend, she can like, they blindfolded her and got her to lick various things, and she knew what they were. And I was like, so I want to have that skill.
Yeah, and things, we do have that skill. It's just, you just got to put time into it. And tasting, like eating your food and be like, what does this taste like? Like, so many people eat in fear, like, quickly finish a plate. And I'm like, I want to like, what's that? A bit of pepper in there, a bit of chili in there. Like, how long will those potatoes cook for? You know, like, I'm asking those questions now.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things, like, it's, you know, like, you can't rush these things, can you? You just got to sit back and let that simmer for a bit.
It is. And I feel like these things, they promote presence. You know, like, everyone's saying, be present. I'm like, by saying that, you're not being present. Just literally be. You know what I mean? Like, just like, I know another one that's good. I try really hard. I'm not, no one's perfect, but I'm like, this is what I'm still working on, is when I'm eating, is to only eat. Not watch something or read something or be doing emails, because I'm confusing my body. Because in an hour, it's like, I'm hungry. And I'm like, dude, we just ate. And it's like, nah, you were fucking doing emails or watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm like, true, actually, I wasn't actually present when we're eating. You're so right. You know, like.
In my yoga teacher training, they were like, don't talk while you eat. And I got really fired up. I was like, but that is the way that our culture socializes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But yeah, to be silent and to concentrate and be present with that.
Yeah. And I love like having big hookups with friends, and like, there's the hustle, there's the energy in the chat and everything while it's cooking, people are in the kitchen, blah, 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 blah. And then you plate up, and then I love the silence. And if you do talk, it's about the food. So I don't mind talking with food if they're like, whoa, how good's this lasagna? I'm like, this is so lit. Like, this is like, we're talking about what we're doing. So like, I don't mind talking as long as I'm with food. I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm not like half there.
Yeah, don't be self-deprecating about your job in front of the food.
Yeah, like
Take that somewhere else.
oh,
Yeah.
it's so that's something that I know is so good for me. And even if I'm like, oh, I just really want to like be lazy and order some food and then like literally watch RuPaul's Drag Race, like I do call myself out. I'm like, that was nice, but don't make a habit of that. Like, I'm not like being rude to myself or mean to myself about the past. I'm like, I'm glad you enjoyed that, but we're not making that a habit. And I'm like, fair call, thanks.
Mm,
I'll take that.
mm, mm. Yeah. What do you think it is like that we struggle so well? I mean, in my psychology studies, we're taught that like the brain, like we are hardwired to be expecting the worst, and we need distraction because it means that we are able to know what's coming. We're able to think about what's ahead and all that sort of thing. It's so paradoxical because we thrive when we are present.
Yeah, but I don't like, I don't know what's coming. The reality is I can assume as much as I want with the insane evidence and but no one knows what's coming. Like no one knows.
No, we don't even know if this is real. Like I'm talking to you through an iPhone. Dude, I don't even know if this is real,
Yeah, and that's like, life is a trip, like that's what's happening. So it's just distractions are, I think they're unhealthy personally. I think they can serve a purpose when you need to look like they serve purpose, but like I never want to strengthen distraction ever. Because if I feel like I need to distract myself, that's a big red flag, being like, whoa, what do you need to unpack? What do you need to, and the hardest thing to do is unlearn. Learning's easy, unlearning is hard. So the minute something like maybe a conversation or an article or a documentary or something, and you feel a bit like, oh, but I haven't, like, I don't know that. That's when you want to go, let me go see something that I know. You want to distract to your ego's like, oh, we know this. It's okay. It's like, hang on, no, you got to go back and unlearn that. But I think in my personal experience, that actually means nothing in the scheme of life. You know what I mean? Like it's only relative to me. But it works. For me, I find it works.
Unlearning. Recognizing
you
need to unlearn.
Yeah, like every day of the week. And doing things that scare you.
Yeah.
Fear is like the place of birth. Oh, that's a nice photo. That was a nice photo of you.
Was it?
Yeah.
On my headshot.
Yeah. Your hair looks so your hair looks so nice now too, but it was just like lush.
Thanks. That was my headshot and my Zoom cover shot, doing the hand on the hip, throw the head back and laugh.
Oh my gosh.
Organically.
Yeah. That mid.
Okay. So the fear is the place of birth. All right, then to take us to the third question, not that there's any kind of time or guys or anything like that, is to say, if you were to zoom out, we've talked about the importance of perspective, so you're welcome to dive back into that because I think that's rad.
Yeah.
If you were to zoom out and like put it on a billboard or like have it come up to people, does it hurt when you do that? Don't do that. Like, and look at the world or look at one aspect of your world or your society, your peers. What do you think you might think that is?
So like, what would I put on a billboard?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Potentially. It's a pretty cool question. What? Oh man, there's a couple that come to mind. Oh yeah, beep beep beep. That was on your end, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was on my end. Yeah.
Did you do shaka them?
I did do a shaka. I've been shacking it all over the place. This is the town of the shack.
Yeah.
I've been shacking oysters and shacking around.
Yeah. Oh man, I think it would be. Do you know what? You asked me this a week ago, and it's like, call me in a week and ask me what it is like. I'm forever changing because we are, like, every minute. So I think it would just say just be, full stop. Because by just being, without like putting labels on everything. Like, okay, this is really silly, but I love meeting people and not knowing their name or what they do. Like, I actually thrive on it. I love becoming friends with people and having no idea what their name is, because I want to learn who that person is in the being of them being in front of me, in front of my being, instead of being like, oh yeah, I know someone with that name. Because it subconsciously, because through my learning that I have to unlearn, even it doesn't matter how conscious I am, there is probably a little part of me that's like, oh yeah, I know another Joanna. Like, I want, like, I just want to. It's so nice just to actually be in situations with everything and everyone, and not like, okay, last night I was looking at the moon and I was just like, is that even your name? That's what we have labeled you. So then, like, I took the label of the moon away and just looked at it, and I was like, this is way cooler than a moon, way cooler than the label we've been taught. So I would just say, just be.
And because that does actually hurt a little bit. Well, being distracted, all that other stuff hurts, and it's like, ugh. Yeah, just be.
Because there's nothing else.
Or
like,
be without the just.
yeah,
What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, just be.
Yeah.
That's like, and like, I always think of I had it written on my I've got this big whiteboard in front of me here, so it's like my everything that I have to do, and I always have in there just being like, Zoe, you are a human being. I'm a human being. Like, an animal is also being. A tree is also being. So I'm just like, I'm a human right here, right now, being. That's what I think about at night time when I'm in my room by myself, pondering. I'm like, human being. I'm being a human. I'm being right here. So yeah, just be.
Boom.
Boom, be.
Boom. Be. Yes. So cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go out and tell the people that. Be. Yeah, well, I mean, those attachments that we have to names and so on, like, we need that because it helps us move through the world at ease.
Yes.
But, like, also imagine if you said your experience of that thing that we call the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my mind, I was like, imagine if I had just discovered this thing to eat that's like mushy and like goes really well with like crackers and stuff. I didn't know that it was called hummus.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
how good would it be discovering that for the first time? Or, like, it's like
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think every time can be a first. Every time is a first time. Like, every time is a first time, because everything we've spoken about is gone. So this is the first time we're speaking in this moment, and now this is the first time again.
So it's a vortex forever and ever and ever. No wonder you spent 3 hours gazing at the stars just to be able to allow that to catch up with you.
Yeah, I think of time like currency. Like, I think time is it's the strongest currency I have. Take all my money, but don't take my time, So I can give the moon 3 hours, or the thing that we call the moon floating in space that we can see from Earth. I can give it 3 hours. I'm like, you're worth 3 hours, 100%. It's like charge. I was saying last night, I was with my friend, I felt like I was on charge. Like, I was on the ground, flat on the earth, just looking at the stars. I'm like, I'm charging. This is so healthy. My eyes are not distracted by any harsh light or noises. This is so healthy. I was like, feel charged. I'm like, let's go.
Charge up. Yeah.
Charge up. I'm like,
zzz. It works for crystals. Works for solar panels. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got an amethyst crystal on my
tattoo.
Yeah, forearm. Charger. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Got some funky
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, cool.
Sun and a moon and an arrow. Got an L here for left. Like,
yeah.
Because I'm pretty dyslexic. Well, I'm not actually, like, I've never been diagnosed with, like, but I am, like, every day I'm swapping things. like I've got tendencies. But also Julia Cameron, the book The Artist's Way, leap and the net will appear. It also represents that. That would be good on a billboard. Leap and the net will appear. Full stop.
Yeah. And then, but not have the billboard too high up so people could actually practice jumping off it. And the net comes out. It's like a practical.
Yeah, it is.
Practical billboard.
It's a size specific.
Site specific billboard action. And the net does come out.
It does.
Most of the time. So your B sign, you just have people sitting around it, looking at it.
Yeah.
I like that.
That'd be pretty fresh. Yeah, that would be cool. I think I would enjoy observing people's reaction to the activity more than people actually jumping to see the net. Like watching if like some people would dive straight in literally and some people would sit back and go, does the net appear? Like I think it would be as like a just watching human being in that exercise. I always just think you learn so much in silence, like in reaction, not in words, like the physical body. And maybe that's because I work in the body. Like, you know, when someone's ordering a coffee or if they're talking to me and they're square, their shoulders and hips are facing me, I'm like, oh wow, they feel real safe with me. And if I feel a bit uneasy, I'll go to the side so it can pass me by a little. I'm like, oh, I don't think I can go straight on with you. Like, I don't think I can do it today. Like, I can be here. Like, just got to pass through. Like, you know what I mean? Like how we all sit, if you're forward, if you're back, you're relaxed. Like, so maybe it's just from my angle, I would love to watch that. I would love to sit back on a camping chair and just watch how people react to that.
Yeah. As you said that, I like gently uncrossed my body.
Yeah. Dude, look at my legs up. I'm like chilling.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens when you can't sit on normal chairs because your feet don't reach the ground properly.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I really can't. And like on airplanes and stuff, if I sit right back in the edge of this, my feet are dangling. If I like flex my foot into like a forced arch, my balls on my feet, but it's very rare for me to put my heels on the ground. That's not a sensation that I feel very often. Back of the chair, I have to come quite forward. But in saying that, airplanes are so good for me because I can just cross my legs.
Yeah. Put them up on the back of the seat in front for a little hamstring stretch. Get your circulation working. That's the way to go. Yeah.
My legs are flexed up. I'm just like asleep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
It's so nice that you want to have conversations with people about this side of their living. You know what I mean? It's refreshing.
Thank you.
It's refreshing. It's not like, what are you working on? What's new? It's like, that actually doesn't matter. I mean, it does. I respect it and I love it and I appreciate it. But in the scheme of life and like, you know, it's how did you live, not what did you do?
That's right. And it's interesting because, I mean, I have received so much wealth of knowledge from listening to people's podcasts and listening to people talk about their process and talk about their little tidbits and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, you know, I put a bit of thought into this, but I'm also just like, what you were talking about, how you've only got your gigs booked until April. Yeah. I only plan my year until April.
Yeah.
Because like when I get to April, then I know how the rest of the year, I know better about what I want to do and how the year's going to go until later.
Oh my God,
so last year with the pandemic, it was actually really like I had a rough idea that I wanted to like go to Sri Lanka or something. And I only had it planned until April. So although there were things which really, you know, sucked, it wasn't as hard. Yeah. And I think I heard that it's either Quentin Tarantino or Martin Scorsese. I need to research this. They only plan their movies until halfway.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't know, and then that makes perfect sense. I can never create the whole thing because I feel like there's this like little voice in my ear being like, "You don't know what's going to happen on that day," and I'm like, "You're so right." And half the time, if I'm real, what I plan, I don't even really use.
Mm.
I get in the space and I'm like, why did we do that? Let's do this instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's just, yeah. And also, I couldn't plan the whole year because I feel like if I was to try and start planning June and July, if June and July were actual people that could talk to me, I think they would call me out personally in my life journey, going, "You don't know what we're doing when you get here.
Mm.
How do you know?" No, that's true. Like, I often think of things or ideas or feelings as people. It's really, it helps me humanize. It helps me stay present. If I start trying to do too much or thinking too much, or like, okay, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and I'm living in the future, I just like pause myself and I'm like, hold up, June or May, talk to me, or creativity, talk to me, or sadness, talk to me, you know, because often it'll be like, you chose me, that person didn't choose me, you chose to bring me out to react to that situation. It's not their fault that you are hanging out with your sadness right now. You called me, you knocked on my door, and I'm like, true, I did. Thanks.
Yeah. Did.
Noted.
I guess I should probably invite you in for a cup of tea.
Yeah, let's, and then yeah, and
I
then
can't. Yeah.
and I feel like that's where under every emotion is peace. Like peace, it's like just peace disguised. Like, you know, because I just say I don't have many of these moments anymore, but if I just say I was angry, and then anger comes up, and like, fuck, this person made me angry, or this job, or, and I start, the ego starts blaming, and then I just like humanize anger, and it's just like, Zoe, you invited me in, you called me, you said come over, and I'm like, I did, and then and they like take off the mask and like, hey, it's peace, yeah. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, yeah, wow, thank you for disguising. You know what I mean? That's come with awareness, like, and along, I've just, that I find, but for so, yeah, like, yeah, don't even know how we really got there, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
like,
I think, yeah, to give it a bit of context, I mean, I don't even know who's listening to this. Hey, free people. Like you, to find that awareness, that's taken a sustained,
yes,
like
yes,
what,
so,
10 years of meditation practice, you reckon? How long have you been
yeah,
doing it on the rig, hanging
on the
out in your mind palace, dust
yeah,
in the
10
dust in the
years,
chandeliers? Yeah.
10 years this year, 10 years this year. And
Sweet.
pretty like,
Mediversary.
yeah, actually. And like, I was saying to my friend the other day, I'm actually like, I'm having a moment of reflection and actually going, good work, because it's a practice now. I don't even, it's not a chore. I'm not like, oh God, I've got to like, whether it's a journal, or a walking meditation, or I sit meditation, I go to yoga, or I'm drawing, or I'm just go in silence, walking down the beach with my eyes shut, humanizing my emotions. Like, it's all become an effortless practice from the hard work, but it's nowhere near too complete. Like, you know, like, I don't want to be attached to anything, but I am, you know, like, it's just like where I put the importance. I'm not putting too much importance on any of my attachments. And I think that's made me better at my job.
Well, like
When I
it means
dropped
that you're
it,
just the receptionist. You're the
I am.
receptionist.
Yeah. And like, my mum always told me, like, the receptionist is the most important person at the business. And I was just like, so true. If you walk in, first person you see, then and they're not like, they're just the receptionist. They're just, you know, like, but that person is so important, how you get greeted. So like, yeah, when creativity or drive or passion or inspiration comes knocking, I'm like, I'm going to show up for them. Be the best receptionist you've ever seen.
Yeah. So are you also the receptionist whenever anger disguised as peace comes in? Same receptionist?
Am I this? Nah. I actually really think I'm in this. I think like the receptionist. I have a work receptionist.
Work receptionist, yeah.
And I have a life receptionist.
Gotcha.
They're on different shifts. Yeah, like they talk, they're colleagues, they're tight, but it's definitely different. Same, but different. Yeah. I feel like my life receptionist is better at just giving me the truth, like hard, cold truth, where like the work receptionist, they've got a better job because it's fun. Ideas are dropping in. I'm reading concepts, listening to music, and they're like, let's go. Like my life assessment is like my life as receptionist is pretty tough. And I think it is, it's a reflection of myself and what I'm becoming. Because if someone asks me how I am, I'll either just go good and leave because I just know I can't even open that can of worms, or I'll actually tell you, and you got to read it.
Mm.
But 99% of the time, I'll tell you exactly how I feel, like with love.
How do you feel now?
Pretty chill. It's really good. It's so nice just to like, I feel like I saw you yesterday.
I know. It's really cool. Yeah,
was actually-
super duper.
Do you know what? Yesterday morning, I went and got my chai. So like there's this place in Torquay called Mavis that I get chai from. It's the best chai I've ever had, right? Big chai girl. Love. Attached to chai. There's an attachment for you. Anyway,
You got to try and cut those strings. Boom,
boom. And a mate of mine was down there and he had a hoodie for 64 Sutton Street, the boxing that
yeah.
And my instant reaction was, oh, I know that. And Sutton Street, like it's still there. Like even though I don't go to that place that we used to train there, and
So
no matter
Zoe,
how
Zoe and I went to performing arts school together, and it was on the street called Sutton Street in North Melbourne, and that's where my boxing gym, 64 Sutton Street, which is great. North Melbourne Boxing and Fitness, is too. But yeah, so that's how you were feeling about that place. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, just like even though I don't have anything to do with that building anymore, and I've actually paid a tribute to the things I learned from there and the things that did not add positive value to my life at the time. And I'm so past it. Subconsciously, there's still some seeds in that garden of because I literally shivered. I was like, couldn't pay me $1 million to walk in that building. And it's just like, wow, like yes, that's a partnership. It's not that building's fault. It's you know what I mean? Like I'm equally as responsible for why I feel like that in that space. But it was so funny because I was like, whoa, I haven't had that feel in a while. Like, but it was, I kind of thought about it all day and I was like, yeah, like talk about it because you obviously still suppressed somewhere deep in the roots. Like, you got to let it out. But it was so crazy because I had all this joy at the same time as absolute fear and like bone shattering, like, oh.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see the boxing gym. I was like, that made me be like sick. Steve was his name, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we were there when it first opened. You went there.
Yeah.
Heaps. You were like,
yeah. I was training there right until I left Melbourne. And that was really interesting for me because I was like, I've lived in Melbourne for 11 years and I've been going to 64 Sutton Street like this whole time.
That's big.
And there's been heaps of different contexts in which I've done that. And, the last, since 2016, that was when I stopped teaching. I would be going to boxing though.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I've reframed this place and like hear the music sometimes and, wonder and all that sort of thing. It's interesting how places hold, well, in psychology, we also study like memory is when it's consolidated in the place, that's when you're going to remember it again.
Yes.
And it's also state dependent as well. So like if you're in a certain state, so say you've suddenly just got like a really hot skin or something like that, and you're like, oh man, the last time this happened, or you burn your mouth or something like that, it's like it reminds you of the last time that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And also though, I guess there's a plane over here, it's a little one. I'm taking permission to reframe the memories of a place, make new ones.
Oh, absolutely. It's just that you are the creator. Like you are, that's it. It's not even of your world. Everyone is a creator. Like that's what we create. That's it. Like, yeah, it's so good. It's so healthy too. I'm actually right now creating a new relationship with teaching because I've like pretty much, I quit. Like I did a hard quit, like a strong, firm bye. and it's only as of like the past couple of days, if I'm completely honest, like it's pretty raw, like realizing that I do have a gift as a teacher, but doesn't mean that I have to abuse it like I was abusing it actually for other people. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I am a good teacher and I like teaching, but I can only do it like once every like 4 months.
Yeah.
And I've just got that boundary of like, no, I'm not doing it. But it's nice I'm creating a new frame instead of it. Yeah. But I had to do a hard detox, like a hardcore detox, like to wipe it clean, to actually see it for what it is instead of see it for what my experience was.
That's really important. Yeah.
So important.
Time to come back anew.
Like so fresh. Like
and I think to circle back to what you're saying about being the receptionist, like having that idea where you receive the creativity and you let it go, so it's not who you are.
Yeah,
it means that you can have a detox from it instead of being like, I am a teacher, this is it, I teach. You can be like, this is something that I've done and right now that's not serving me, so I'm gonna have to take that away.
Yeah. And I always say this, and you know, if anyone listens to this who knows me, you've probably heard me say this, but teaching is a privilege, and unless you can rock up to it and meet it right there, I don't think that you should teach and teaching is selfless. Like you're essentially sharing your teachings. It's not about you. It's not about you being a leader of a group and then them finding something or unlocking another part of their practice or dance or whatever. It's like teaching, if you're going to teach, you're facilitating. And if you can't facilitate 100%, like whatever your 100% is, like I just question when people teach. I'm like, why are you teaching? Is it to fulfill your own validation of like you are achieving something, or because you actually want to share the lesson? You know what I mean? Like, because you only teach yourself. Like if you were teaching, if I was in your class right now, you're not in my body. You can't go, all right, Zoe, I'm gonna jump in your bodysuit and teach you how to like isolate. You share what you're teaching your body onto me, and then I teach my body. So when you're at the position of leading, I think or running a class or leading a group, you've got to show up. You can't. I believe you can't do it at 20-30% with the other, 70% being, oh, I don't want to do this. Like it's not healthy. That's just So teaching, that role is big. It's important. And we know that because we've all had one teacher that you're like, man, thank you.
I know.
You always have that one or two teachers that you're like, thank you for guiding me and not dictating. Like, thank you. You're just like, man, I needed that. And often they're the ones that are like, I can't teach too much. And it's like, because you want to rock up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to value that, value teachers. Thank you, teachers.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, teachers.
Yeah.
Who would be one of your, like, is there a teacher or a mentor?
My faves? I've got a couple. And I'm really fortunate. One of them, so my year 5 teacher, Mr. Burgess, he was real cool because like he'd make up songs for us and he'd like do magic tricks and just kind of let us. He was also really disciplined.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, and we would all like, he'd always like let us collaborate on stuff.
That's dope.
I'm so fortunate that my dancing teacher, Sharon Underwood, she just saw you, I think. And it's so cool because that's who's been employing me in New Zealand, basically.
Cool is that?
So
how cool
we're
is that?
we're working together. Like this will be our 4th, maybe our 5th dance show of hers for her school that we've worked on together. She's been teaching for 50 years. It's her last one that we're working on. And I've been around for 20 of the years.
Yeah,
so I'm like, that's really cool.
That's a chunk. That's a chunk.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Yeah.
I love that.
And then my high school music teacher, Nick Grigsby, I actually saw him when I was in the UK, and I said to him, I was like, by the way, like so many of my my life's things I put down to you. I'm really grateful. And I think that's really nice to be able to go back to your teachers and tell them they made an impact. Because if you're there and you're being selfless, you're never going to know that.
Yeah. And he's probably like, he's passing on what served him. And he's probably subconsciously passing that thanks on to his teacher. You know what I mean? Like it keeps going.
Yeah, and I'm a teacher, you know.
Yeah, and now, and you know, there's going to be a student of yours that bumps into you in the UK and goes, "Yo, thanks," and you're going to be like, "It's all good. It was my," and then he's going, "It was this guy." Like, it's the chain. It's we all one. Everyone is. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Oh, you're the bomb.
You're the bomb.
I haven't called anyone the bomb for a while.
Can't say bomb on an airplane. Yeah, I know, right? What, like, we should have isn't it an abbreviation, like BOM? Like,
oh yeah, an acronym.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's it. Being of matter.
Love.
Yeah, that's one that works. Yeah. Being of matter. We'll workshop that one.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Have you got any final tidbits before I stop this recording that you want to share with the people, the wisdoms, or even just like
with the people?
With the people.
What's up, people? Honestly, no. Just be just be. I just think of the word present is pre-sent. So we're pre-sending every present moment. So pre-send well. Pre-send presents. Like, you know, you asked me 5 years ago to be like, work hard, be disciplined. Yeah, that's a muscle. It's like plank. You know, like working hard is like learning how to hold a plank and observe the plank and become strong or run that marathon. But like strip it all back into like the person you are on an everyday basis. Just like actually, if you're talking with someone, talk with them. If you're smelling something, just give each moment the full moment. Don't try. I don't know. I get flustered now. If someone's trying to like talk to me while I'm doing something else, I'm like, I used to be so good at doing 80 things at once. Now I'm like, can you just wait a second? I haven't finished like my tasting the chai, you know, or like I get
monotask.
Yeah. I'm like, I just want to like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be there. Like I'm going to literally be there like 100% of the way, like show up for it. Show up for the present moment is probably all I'd say. And practice, I don't know, actions and more than words. Actions.
Yeah.
Because it's cool to be like, oh, I'm on my spiritual journey. I'm being present and I'm manifesting. It's like, are you? Or does your ego like saying that you are?
Oh, yes. This is Lisa. Can I clear my schedule?
Yeah.
That's such a thing, man.
Like, and I know it's like, people may find that uncomfortable to hear, but it's not uncomfortable to say because I feel like we've all done it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The ego can get in. The ego can really get in and disguise itself in growth. It can be like, oh yeah, we'll let you have a bit of bite of that pie, and then we'll tell everyone that we've tasted the pie, so then we don't actually have to eat the pie anymore. And it's like practice, less this, the chatty, more practice.
Yeah.
Well,
we're all looking for belonging and something to be a part of. And so if the journey, you know, if that's the thing that we're belonging in and being a part of is cool and can be an excuse for certain things or can be, I feel that. And I've done that. Like, and maybe I'm still doing that. Who knows? Like,
yeah, who knows? Like, I feel like every day I learn something new about myself and I'm like, whoa, like, yeah, it's forever a learn. It's just you're learning. We're just learning how to unlearn
and unlearning. Learning how to unlearn and learn.
Yeah, it's just every day I'm like, oh yeah, I need to unlearn that, and that's learning. So much learning. But nah, thanks for reaching out to me. This was pretty fresh. It's nice to have these kind of conversations because so often I have conversations with people in this forum of a podcast about the work I make. And I love my job, but I also like being a human being more.
Mm, mm,
So thanks for talking to me as a human first. Like you said earlier, like sometimes big, I am the dancer, the artist, the choreographer. It's like, no, you're not. You're just this short chick with shaved head that lives by the beach.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I guess as well, because I've known you for a while. And so I've seen that evolution as person, as career too. And that's something that I think is, I want to share, I guess, is like, man, everyone looks at their poo before they flush it, like you, the rest of us, like,
You have to look at your poo.
yeah. And so, yeah, sure, we can share the fact that so and so does this many push-ups a day. It meant that they transcended the fifth dimension and all that sort of thing. And I'm interested in that stuff, and I think that's also really great. But like, for centuries and centuries, we've just been talking and philosophizing and looking at this other thing, the other, and for a very long time I was scared of discussing it, because I was like, that's not going to get me anywhere, or that's not this or that. But it's very important, and thanks so much for bringing all of your little insights and your wisdoms.
Oh, you're so welcome. Like
Yeah.
and I say this like anytime. So anytime, John, anytime. Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Awesome.
This was so fun.
Great. Thanks. I had fun too. I'm going to stop recording now.
Thank you so much for listening and sharing your time with me this week. For this podcast to continue, I could really use your support. If you enjoyed the episode, please screenshot it and put it on your social media, send the episode to your friend or family, and if you can click subscribe to the episodes, they'll fall into your algorithm like your old friend JJ popping into your ear every week. I appreciate it so much. And as well as listening to this podcast, you can just keep on listening to your own wisdom by asking the questions, big and small, like, does it hurt when you do that? Don't do that.